Welcome back to the Ants Subang YouTube channel. I am very excited to show you this colony update on Tetraponera Rufonigra, one of the most popular ant species here on this channel, which gained more views than any other video that I had released. You've been following their progress for nearly 2 years, since the founding queen, and you've become attached to her backstory. It's always good that you can tell stories about your ant colony. That's what makes ant keeping a satisfying hobby. I have tried on many occasions to keep this species, but this one seems to be it. Many of you know that it is not an easy species to start from scratch, and believe me, I have tried everything. I try not to repeat myself in the videos I do, or else I will end up talking about the same thing over and over again. Therefore, for those that wish to start a Tetraponera Rufonigra queen founding colony, do check out my previous video on how to build a starting nest and ways to care for her. Speaking of not repeating the same content, I will probably try to tell you about what I do know about these species locally. It will be more like a story, I hope. For those who are unfamiliar, let us first discuss these ants. Tetraponera Rufonigra lives on trees, making it an arboreal ant species. They are bicolored, having 2 distinct colors, red and black. It is one of the most dangerous ant species locally. Unfortunately, they can also be found in many suburban areas near parks and densely forested areas. They produce a sharp needle-like sting from the tip of the ant's gaster, which you will see in action later on in this video. Their venom will cause you a lot of pain, followed by inflammation and a severe allergic reaction. If you are allergic or sensitive, just a couple of these stings would definitely be life-threatening. They are extremely territorial and will frenziedly sting under certain conditions, for instance, when you disturb their nest or bring down a large prey. Many years ago, there was a story about a student who was bitten by these ants, which got him into the hospital and admitted to the intensive care unit. I remembered clearly that during this period of scare, much coverage of these ant species was increased, and I remembered articles being written about them in the news and in local magazines. There were even write-ups on what to do when you are bitten by the Salanger. That's what we call them here. The story begins with a boy who was 13 years old at the time. While waiting under some trees outside his school in the sweltering heat, he suddenly felt sharp pain in his hands and legs. When he looked down, he saw a few of the ants were biting him, which he managed to quickly get rid of. That's when he realized he'd been bitten by his school's red and black ant. He described that the ant nest was in the tree outside his school and had been there for many years, as he has seen them scurrying around while waiting to be picked up by his parents. He didn't think much of it, but we all know it was a sting rather from a bite, which is known to cause inflammation. He managed to get himself back home, but after 30 minutes of the encounter, he felt very itchy around the areas where he got stung multiple times. Within that hour, he started to feel nauseated, and soon after, a fever began to develop. At this time, things are beginning to go downhill for him. He started vomiting, and his limbs began to swell up. He was then rushed to the hospital by his parents. When they arrived, they explained everything to the doctor, but his parents were then asked to provide a photo of the ant that stung him so that the doctors could administer the right antidote for the venom. According to reports, the parents returned to the school that night to capture the ant that stung their son based on his description. They rushed back to the hospital and showed the ant specimen to the doctor, who quickly consulted relevant agencies and finally administered the correct antidote. It took 3 injections of the antitoxin to fully rid the venom from the boy's body. The recovery was instantaneous, and thankfully he was able to go back home a few hours after the antidote was administered. There are a handful of ant species that can deliver a painful sting locally, but not all of us will experience a hypersensitive reaction that will pose a serious danger to our health. It was unfortunate that the large colony of Tetraponera Rufonigra was destroyed by the school council by using pesticides. There was no other way to get rid of the colony and the tree, which was simply too large to replant elsewhere. The country planning department had taken precautionary measures in the months prior by trimming down tree trunks and branches near schools to prevent them from becoming ant breeding grounds. When bitten by a Tetraponera Rufonigra ant, a person can have the following manifestations. For common localized symptoms, we will feel pain, swelling, and inflammation of the stung area, but for more systemic symptoms, which happen to a small percentage of the population, we will feel feverish, fatigued, have headaches, feel nauseated, and possibly vomit. These symptoms will appear within 24 hours of being bitten by Tetraponera Rufonigra. I was bitten by these ants in the past, but I don't remember the near-death experience. I used an antiseptic cream and may have taken an antihistamine for the itching and swelling. Tetraponera Rufonigra was feared and misunderstood at the time, but that didn't stop some of us from taking advantage of the panic. There was news of people intentionally getting bitten, then going to a doctor for a medical leave because the sting of these ants causes a fever, allowing them to skip work. No, I was not one of them. Speaking of exploiting, it's a fact that these lethal ant species' reputations have even gotten some spider species to mimic them to scare and escape predators. The moral of the story is that ants appear to be tiny insects that must be squeezed and eliminated after experiencing pain and being misunderstood. But the truth is that, generally, ants' characteristics and habits should be a great source of inspiration for all of us as human beings. They can provide us with great lessons about life from different perspectives. One such characteristic is that they never give up and bounce back no matter what we hit them with. Before I end the video, a final thought: ants have been on the planet since the dinosaur age, about 100 million years ago, and they have been living and thriving since then. For some, ants may not be a subject of great interest, but we can all learn from them for their perseverance, teamwork, proactiveness, and resilience. In reality, they are not that different from us. I sincerely hope you enjoyed listening to the story about this species and watching my colony update video. Please continue to watch and probably try to spot the queen in all her eloquence. She should be easy to find and will always be around her brood. Until next time. Thank you for watching.